Welcome back, everybody, to the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise. Today I'm going to be doing my final draft in this series. It is going to be my 10th draft of the Jaguars franchise, and I have a lot of extra picks with which to work with for this year. I traded out of the first round last year to have this chance at 2 first-rounders and 2 second-rounders. And I am aiming to do one final draft and one final full off-season to try and set this team up for the remainder of the series. And as I begin recording, I have no idea if this could be the last episode in the Jaguars franchise. I am really looking to see at which point Chuck Johnson chooses to retire. He has become the face of this franchise and the face of the rebuild, and he's now completed 8 seasons in his NFL career, and he's now 29 years old. I forgot to check out the depth chart changes after the last episode, but we see Kevin Parker is now at X Factor along with Joe Johnson at running back. That's exciting for those 2 players. Defensively, Ezra Telfer is now a superstar X Factor cornerback, and one of my favorite players I've added, who is now also 29 years old. This is a team that's gotten older, and they've had a really good run. We have 5 consecutive double-digit winning seasons in the series, and have gone to the playoffs in each of the last 6. But it's been 3 years since we even made it to the AFC Championship. Could the window already be shut on this Jaguars core? Or can I put the finishing touches on another run here in this final offseason? Here is J.D. Short, who has now played 9 years in the series. And of course, he was the very first player I drafted a part of this franchise. It's always bittersweet taking these series to the very end, but I think it's important that these stories do have a conclusion. I want to see if guys make it to the Hall of Fame, what records could be broken, so we need that finale. We're working towards that today. If that happens to be this episode, then thank you for supporting the Jaguars franchise. But I am looking to wrap this series up very shortly, focus on my Miami Marlins franchise over the summer, and come back with Madden 26 to start a new franchise. Now that I have kind of reset the way I do them with this series, it's been a very important series here on the second channel. But we have a big offseason that is going to begin right now. Both of our star receivers are hitting free agency, but Kevin Parker is the one I would like to sign long term. My offer is 4 years, $130 million, and he signs that 4-year extension. I would also like to sign Ezra Telfer to a 3-year extension, especially now that he's an X Factor corner. And he signs for a little over $25 million per season. The offensive line the last 2 years has been the 2 best we've had in this series, so I don't want to see much change there, which is why I'm offering another contract to Olu Fashanu. He signs. If you remember back to when I signed Chuck Johnson, it was to a 7-year contract. Signing bonuses are effectively spread out through the first 5 years of a contract. Being that we're entering year 6, the cap hits go down. But what's nice is it then allows you to restructure that 5th year into the final, which I think will give us some necessary cap space, and flatten out the cap hits the next 3 years for Chuck Johnson. Joe Tippmann is the one player along this offensive line I am willingly moving on from. But that's because I drafted Mike Allen last year with the idea that he would become a starter during his 2nd season, and luckily he's held on to star development. I'm going to offer a 1-year contract to J.D. Short, but it's not going to be the demand he's looking for. He wants $23.4 million. I'm offering $19.5, and he will test free agency. With that remaining cap space, I am going to look to tag and trade Jared Lauderdale. I'm going to decline the 5th-year option on Jamison Gatewood, just because I don't know if we can really easily fit that in for next season. But we're going to be moving on from a lot of players this year, at least going into the offseason. Thomas Ridley will test again. Brendan Allen didn't really develop the way I had wanted. LaDainian Bigby, Edgerrin Cooper's a free agent, along with a longtime series mainstay in Joe Wilder. I checked out his stats when I was recording last episode and couldn't realize this was really all of his production. I feel like almost all these catches are somewhere littered throughout the episodes. Okay, where did our coordinators go? Because during staff week, we had both of them. I'll be hiring new coordinators then. Sorry, guys, I did not authorize those hirings. There are no defensive coordinators available. Unfortunately, every coordinator I hire ends up with a 3-4 skill tree. This is kind of strange, even when they have like a 4-3 playbook. The next move for us is to trade away Jared Lauderdale so that we have cap space to actually participate in free agency. We're so deep into the franchise now that this is the Bengals receiving core. No idea where Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are. And for Jared Lauderdale, we are sending him to the Chicago Bears. And they are going to send us a second and third round pick this year. We have even more draft capital to work with now. Now, we're pretty limited in what we can do in free agency. We're sitting on $14.5 million in space. We don't have more space because we're eating 19.7 in penalty, I think, from trading Lauderdale. So that does cost us cap space to get those picks. And I'm going to restructure the deal of Ezra Telfer to get us back to a little bit more. I'd still like to bring back JD Short. I'm going to add on more into the signing bonus to help make things better fit potentially this season. And we were successful. We bring back JD Short on a 2-year, $39 million contract that effectively eats up our remaining cap space. So now we have to look ahead to the draft where we're sitting here needing another wide receiver, another tight end, depth at running back, a defensive tackle, and a linebacker. We need players that can contribute immediately. Penei Sewell ends up signing a 1-year, $17 or $18 million deal with the Jets. That doesn't seem all that bad for a 96 overall tackle. And very surprisingly, Thomas Ridley is again unsigned. So is Joe Tippmann, Trayvon Walker, Edgerrin Cooper, and others. I don't think the teams have the cap space right now. When I was looking for a trade for Lauderdale, there were very few teams that could actually absorb it. This is an incredible collection of picks going into the NFL draft, and we need to be moving up a lot to get the right players. I've done these drafts before where I'm trying to set up the team prior to simulating and going deeper into the future, no longer controlling everything. But usually I'm looking for like a new quarterback, and I don't have this type of team in this situation. I'm really just trying to fortify things around Chuck Johnson and the core so they can hopefully stay competitive. But right now our picks are set to be at 25 and 28. We'll see where they actually end up. I want to add a receiver at some point, and I only have a couple clear-cut first-round options. Devin Session is a first-round talent. We see solid athleticism, 4.5 40. And then very good with the ball in his hands and a decent route runner. Defensive line might be one of the early targets. We do have Randall Hudson here, but I don't think we're going to be in range to get him. He's a top 5 talent, just a little bit underrated. And I do think this is a good defensive tackle class, and even the ratings on the players I don't have these solid grades for seem pretty good. But I do like Andrew Creighton and Mike Jones the most. Randall Hudson goes at 5 to Tennessee. I was not going to be trading up nearly that high. One of my main targets is at defensive tackle, and Andrew Creighton is one of my alarms. He's a higher-ranked defensive tackle, pushing Mike Jones now up that available board. We have moved up, jumping 6 spots, giving up a 3rd-rounder and a 7th-rounder. Because one of the players I wanted to make sure we came away with in this draft is who? Mike Jones. That's going to be our pick here in the 1st round. I want the versatile defensive tackle with athleticism, B power move, B block shed. I think it's a slam dunk, day 1 starter That's how we're kicking things off. Complete the defensive line, which was a big part of what anchored our Super Bowl run in the first place. There he is, too. He was in the green room. He was waiting to hear his name called. Mike Jones, 48 in true value. They're going to call this a bit of a reach. But he has NFL-ready strength. He has a menacing bull rush. We know he's athletic. And Mike Jones has hidden development, so I don't care if they call it a reach. Devin Session goes at 23. One of two receivers I like in this range. And Tamar Davis ends up going to the Chargers. That was the other receiver I liked in this range. My second pick then is going to be pass rusher Terrell Williams. And he was also in the green room waiting to hear his name called. So we have two starting edge rushers right now, but we were always at our best when we had depth. And I want the flexibility to maybe move on from Martin Cooper. 35 in true value. We take him at 28. Hidden development. He has a ton of power in his game, and I think good athleticism to go with it. I had a feeling the Chargers were going to take Davis. I had a lot of interest in going receiver there, but with the breakout this last year of Justin Boston, I didn't think it was a necessity, and I didn't think that receiver was really going to be BPA if he fell there anyway. So we're out of the first round now, and we're still hoping to add a pass catcher, like tight end and receiver are both ways we could upgrade this team. Linebacker is the main defensive need now. In the second round, we have picks at 49, 57, and 60, and I still held on to a third round pick. As I've looked at the board, I don't think that this is a round to trade up in. I think there are a lot of players going that we don't really have to be concerned with, and my targets are overlooked. None of my targets went ahead of 49. I think we're going to get a starting tight end here. This is Auburn tight end Devin Thomas, 6'6", 235. And I only have a partial scouting report, but I have B awareness, B catching traffic, B run block, and I know he's strong and a really good athlete. So I think he's going to have the skill set to step in right away. And, ooh, this is a bit of a reach. 133 in true value. Another former basketball player. I've drafted many of those and only normal development. Well, he still might be starting, but I did think the true value would be more second round. I like Lewis Hillman at running back. I was considering that maybe at 60, but he goes at 56. What would you guys think about a linebacker who at 250 pounds ran a 4.35 40 at his pro day? This is freaky. Braden Paulson, 23-year-old linebacker. There are some good off-ball linebackers in this class, but that speed is just unreal. We're going to take him here. I have to get a starting linebacker at some point, and just the 4.35 there with B-zone coverage. I got to see if he's the player we need in this spot. 69 in true value. We take him at 57. Possesses good speed for a linebacker. Yeah, I'd say. And hidden development. 91 speed there. But there is your Edgerrin Cooper replacement. And here with our third second round pick, I just think there's no reason John Middleton should be available right now. I might consider moving him to tackle. I think he has the size and the athleticism to pull it off and believe it. But Middleton really just looks like a plug-and-play starting offensive lineman. And we're going to add him right now at 27 in true value. So we'll actually get somebody at a really good value this time and get hidden development at the same time. So I've only made one trade to this point, and I didn't think it was going to be that way. It's just kind of how the board is and where my targets are. I am borrowing a pick from next year's class and taking that third rounder along with a current fifth to move up again here in the third round. And there's another player that I think is just too good to still be out there, and it's tight end Justin Nash, who I think could even be better than the tight end I already took. I knew about Nash when I made that first pick. But I don't like this receiver class very much, and if I'm adding a couple pass catchers, I think the tight ends might be our best options. And here is the second tight end selected. It's going to be a good value. Another basketball player. So if we decide we're going to take this to the court, we have a pretty good team. I think we can have a whole starting five and a bench with the picks I've made in recent years, just based off scouting report information. Nash has normal development. So taking two normal dev tight ends and ultimately spending a lot of value to do it, not usually a good idea. And I'm moving up again in the 4th round, giving up a 5th round pick. And this is going to be kind of a strange selection, but he slid. And I want to add the fastest player from the draft with as many weaknesses as he could have. We're going to add the speedster here in Javier Wade. I don't like this receiver class, so I'll take a player with a bunch of weaknesses because there's actually a strength that I want. It's going to be a reach, but we know what he does best, and he has hidden development to go with it. 96 acceleration, 99 speed, and he doesn't have to be our top receiver or even number 2. My 6th round pick is going to be spent on a running back here, and this is Spencer Foster, who has pretty good broke tackle skills for an elusive back, but we need some depth here. Unfortunately, he's not a little bit higher rated. And my final pick of this series is a cornerback, and that was, of course, the first pick of this series. We're going to end things off here by taking Chantrell Peak. It's a decent value for late 7th round. Another Auburn player. And Auburn kind of stinks now. And that's going to be my final draft here in the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise. Don't think it's going to be one of my best drafts, but I did get us a lot of players that should be able to develop and have a chance at keeping this team together. Mainly those first picks. We get Mike Jones with our first selection to solidify the defensive line. Love the versatility. Think he's going to do everything pretty well. Then we add Terrell Williams. And we get ourselves some insurance if Martin Cooper needs to be traded or something. We might still have to clear some more cap space. But good to have that depth along the D-line once again. Would have just been nice to have a better skill player. Like, I did want to add a solid skill talent at some point in this draft, but like many, I didn't care for the receiver class, and I didn't have as much scouting there as I would have liked. The first round receivers I did have interest in were Devin Session and DeMar Davis. Davis I could have been more aggressive in moving up for. And he does have a lot of solid ratings. I think I like my second tight end pick more in Justin Nash. His route running is superior. His blocking's a little bit better. Just a little bit slower is all, and not even significantly. And then Javier Wade's kind of an X factor. You know, I talked about not liking the receiver class, so why not just take a guy with blazing speed? It in development is obviously a lucky get in this spot. And if he can catch a few long ones, maybe he'll go somewhere. But I've now done 10 drafts in the series. I am ready to retire from drafting for this team, but still follow how they play in future years. Oh, I forgot to check this earlier too. Troy Thomas, I drafted him in the 9th draft. He did end up losing his development trait after his first year. This production wasn't enough to hold on to it. We have to add an RB2 from free agency. My choice is going to be Calvin Virgil to back up Joe Johnson. And we're going to make a bit of a surprising move here, but Kyle Pitts is available and he is a mentor. Maybe this would be a good move for us to get a higher overall player catching passes with this offense. We've made it to the start of 2034. And here is the roster going into what is really the 10th season of this series. I don't count 2024 because I took over partway through, and that was kind of just the prologue to the series. But here is our offense that We'll see if they can handle the loss of Jared Lauderdale, but we have Chuck Johnson, Joe Johnson, Kevin Parker. I didn't feel I had to prioritize playmaker as much given all we have, and instead spent more of our draft value on Tyrell Williams and Mike Jones to solidify a defense that I think has just slipped and needed the boost in talent essentially this year. Telfer and Short are still here for at least another season or two, and we'll see how things go now for this Jaguars team. Unsure of how this season would open, we've gone 4-2 in the first 6 games, and the offense is putting up a lot of points. We've already beaten all 3 of our division opponents. Justin Boston continues to ascend. He is our leading receiver in yards and touchdowns 6 games in. I feel like this pick is aging perfectly. We see Javier Wade here has 10 catches and a touchdown. I also have him returning kicks right now. No one's separating in terms of pass rush early on, but Mike Jones already has 2 sacks in his first 6 games. Moving ahead to week 13, and the Jaguars are incredibly hot at 9-2. We've won our last 7 games. We did just lose a player to injury, and that's starting center Mike Allen. I think we can have our rookie guard fill in there in the meantime. And there isn't a better offense in football right now. We're scoring 31.7 points per game. I'm just really surprised the defensive numbers, especially in points allowed, are so poor. Yeah, Chuck Johnson looks better than ever. 26 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Joe Johnson's having a big year after earning that X-Factor development, which will help him fight back against regression, which for running backs will already be happening at age 27. And the big year for Boston continues. I'm hoping to see him earn a bump up to star development once we hit the Super Bowl week. Looks like Ladarius Downs has gotten the edge over Javier Wade. Maybe the depth chart got reset while I was simulating. Mike Jones leads us in sacks and TFLs. And the first pick in this last draft has star development. 5 finesse, 3 power, and that run stopping upgrade, that is crazy. Plus 6 on this upgrade. What is going on? Run stopper is so OP right now. Plus 3 to power and finesse. Why would I even bother worrying about those? Actually, power just got the bump there, so. Mike Jones, 92 strength, 89 power, 82 finesse. Probably building a pretty good Rookie of the Year case. Ezra Telfer keeps racking up the interceptions as well. He's sitting on 3. This is just ridiculous. We make scoring 35 look easy. We have a couple 42s this year and now a 55-15 win. I didn't make that many big changes to the offense, but we just dominated the New York Giants and quarterback Derek Phillips. This is going to be Chuck Johnson's best year, it looks like, and it could give him a nice development trait boost. I could extend his prime a bit. 2 interceptions here, 3 sacks for Ratliff. We were unstoppable until the New York Jets came around again. This is a team that's had our number. They beat us week 18 at the end of last season. They beat us in the playoffs to conclude year 8 with their 3rd string quarterback. That's a team that you do worry about us running into in the postseason. But as we simulate to Wild Card Weekend all the way through this 10th year in the franchise, the Jacksonville Jaguars are taking the week off. We were the number 1 team this year in the AFC. It is a 13-4 season, edging out the Las Vegas Raiders, who had also gone 13-4. Our week 1 win against them ends up being the tiebreaker. Chuck Johnson, 41 touchdowns and 6 interceptions this year. That's gotta put him in the MVP chase. His first 40 touchdown season. That's incredible. And I felt like our skill players and the infrastructure around him was weaker this season. But Joe Johnson probably has a rushing title and another amazing year, while Boston and Parker each go for 1,000 yards. And Justin Boston breaks out for 20 touchdowns. So he's going to be getting a bump in his development. That's pretty much a guarantee. And I was right in putting a lot of trust in Justin Boston for this year. The sack leader ends up being Alex Ratliff with 11 and Mike Jones with 9. Not mad at that. On the edge, there is less overall production, unfortunately. Martin Cooper has regressed the same way we saw Trayvon Walker ultimately regress. Through all the pass rushers we've had in this series, the most consistent long-term was easily Josh Hines-Allen. Ezra Telfer, 4 interceptions to lead the team once again. Chuck Johnson is the runner-up for MVP. Unbelievable. He's beat out by Eagles quarterback, I assume, Carl Triplett. But Justin Boston, he is named Offensive Player of the Year. We had the top 3 players for that award, followed by Eli Arrington. So I've drafted a lot of good offensive players in this series, essentially. Joseph Bowen is Defensive Player of the Year again. What happened? How'd he do that? For Rookie of the Year, it does go to Mike Jones. Triplett had a little bit better numbers than Chuck Johnson. He had almost 400 more yards, 6 more touchdowns. I get it. Joe Johnson, the rushing title by a mile. Kurt Carr, leading receiver. Kurt Carr in his 4th year. That's a big breakout. Eli Arrington has another great year, I assume with Patrick Mahomes as the Miami quarterback again. Yes. Randall Cooper, 23.5 sacks. And the Defensive Player of the Year does go to Joseph Bowen. It's his best season since the first time he took down this award in just his 2nd season. I guess you get the best out of Joseph Bowen his 2nd year with each team. And here is your playoff bracket. Joseph Bowen and the Broncos are the 6th seed, matched up with the Jets, while Arrington, Mahomes, and the Dolphins, they missed the playoffs. The AFC was too strong for a 9-8 team to make it in, while the NFC had 3 teams with that record. So who is the playoff opponent going to be in the division round? It is the Denver Broncos, who have upset the Jets. And I think we're all very thankful they were able to pull that off. Although it means that we're going to have to face our old pal Joseph Bowen. And I think he might have had something to do with the Jets only scoring 11 points. The Defensive Player of the Year did not record a sack in that game, but he did have 6 tackles, 3 for a loss. Checking out dev traits, I doubt we took anybody better than Star, but a couple are still not revealed. Jones and Williams both have Star. Paulson ends up with Star. And let's get into the playoff run. Chuck Johnson and the Red Hot Jaguars are the best team in the AFC this season. And now they got to show they can put some points on a really good defense led by one of the best players I drafted in this series. The winner moves on to take on the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship. Here's our opening drive. 3rd and 7 for Chuck Johnson. And the pass gets broken up in the end zone for Kyle Pitts. Denver ends up getting a touchdown on their first drive. So drive number 2, stuffed in the backfield. It is Joseph Bowen. We know he can wreck a game. We saw year 2 what I thought was going to be the best defensive player that we were going to see in the series. 3rd down and goal. And Johnson's going to throw shy, and this is the one Pitts catches, but neither drive gets 6. And then we missed the 28-yard field goal. You got to be kidding me, Brad Graham. We threw a pick, and we gave Denver a short field. What are we doing? The defense is not showing up for us the way they need to. Oh, yeah, they got Reuben Ross as well. And they just scored a touchdown to begin the second half to go up 15. We have now kicked 4 field goals today, making 3 as we make our way toward the 4th quarter. This was the best scoring offense in all of football, and they finally met their match. I don't know what's happened to the defense, but let's jump in and see if we can somehow save this game. What a disappointment this would be to go one and done with this team and this season. Greg Stevens is the Denver quarterback, and he's got all day to have it knocked away by Ezra Telfer. On 3rd and 10, it is caught, but no first down for Denver. We cannot allow them to get to the end zone. Desperation mode here for Jacksonville, down 15 late. Johnson steps right, fires it deep downfield, a little too underthrown. He was trying to hit number 11, Javier Wade, and there was just not enough on the pass. 3rd and 8, Johnson taking off and running ahead for a first down. Play action, Johnson fires, good catch. And that's the rookie Nash. Caught in the backfield, Joe Johnson. They have stuffed the run. We have a 1,500-yard rusher that hasn't been able to get going. And then an MVP runner-up that hasn't really gotten things opened up either. 3rd down now for Chuck Johnson, and that pass should have been picked twice. Gotta have this one or it's all over. 4th and 3. Johnson running for it, and has the first. Taking it outside here, flag down, the last thing we need. Johnson, 1st and 19, on target, Justin Boston. That is going to come up short. They stop Joe Johnson to set up a second 4th down on the drive. And Chuck has Boston down to the 6. In trouble on 1st down, getting out of it and running down to the 1 as more seconds tick off the clock. Gotta punch this in, and Chuck's gonna throw. He dumps it, touchdown. It's Virgil. So there's one. We've got to do it again. 8-point game. Denver passing, and we do get a 2-yard pickup there, and we'll spend a timeout. Can we give Chuck Johnson that chance to force overtime? We're missing those 3 points that we didn't get earlier on that short field goal. Need the stop here, a 3rd down run, and we play this sequence perfectly. We need the touchdown and the 2-point conversion now. 71 yards for Chuck Johnson. And it starts off pass to Kyle Pitts. 2nd and 3, over the middle. Parker holds on. Good protection. Boston wide open inside the 35. Johnson again over the middle. Incomplete to the rookie, Javier Wade. 13 yards away. Johnson hits and nearly sacked. 3rd and 10, firing to the end zone, and Kevin Parker has it. It'll come down to this 2-point conversion. If we can force overtime, we've got momentum on our side. We're starting to move the football. But man, we need this 2-point try to work. 3 receivers in the game. Johnson dumps it, and it's a diving catch. Wow, Justin Boston. That's one of the craziest catches I've seen in this game. And we have tied it with 40 seconds remaining. Boston has to jump, snatch that pass, keep his hand underneath it. What a play. Now we have a lot of work to do still. It's a tie game, but 40 seconds to go, and now Denver's going to try to set up the game-winning points. If there's ever a time for the defense to make a big play. Oh no! He's taken off! What on earth just happened? The tight end, Cole Donahue, takes it all the way to our 20. I believe he beat Mike Goodson there, and it's a 51-yard gain. I drafted Goodson for this role, for this play. And he just gets beat and can't even catch up to make the tackle. 37-yard try, nearly blocked. Denver is moving on to the AFC Championship. We just went down like that after a 13-win season. Unbelievable. Jacksonville fought all the way back just to blow the game in the end anyway. What a way for the season to end. And I suppose we're going to be going through another year in this video then. But I've done my last offseason. I am now handing the keys to the next GM. Maybe occasionally during the season, I'll still make some contract offers if there's something I really want to take control of. But otherwise, I was happy doing 10 drafts, 10 off seasons. Wow, Justin Jefferson's numbers are ridiculous at this point. Puka Nacua also 1,000 catches. Keeping an eye on Eli Arrington and how much he can produce now that he's got Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback. And it's the Buffalo Bills who have won the Super Bowl this year, the year after Josh Allen retires. Now, he had spent the last handful of years in his career with the Cardinals anyway in this series, but the new quarterback, Jimmy Wise, leads them to the promised land. There have now been 5 new Super Bowl winners since our Super Bowl winning season of year 5. I'm interested now to see what changes with this team. I'm okay if they move on from some players, but I do think I did an okay job of setting them up to hopefully still be successful and not get in their own way. Let's see how they handle things. So we re-signed Alex Ratliff to a big 3-year deal and then keep Bryce Weaver and Chuck Dalton around along with a 3-year deal to Martin Cooper. With his lack of sack production, don't love that move, but they elect to keep the defense together. And it looks like they're going to be letting Tim Jackson at guard walk. Mike Goodson ends up leaving to Denver after helping them win a playoff game. He's now their starting free safety. Anthony Richardson goes to the Chiefs. Jamison Gatewood also goes to Denver. Why does no one like Thomas Ridley? He played sparingly for Tampa Bay last year. He deserves better. I don't love seeing Brian Thomas sign with the Colts. Why did Trayvon Walker have to do it too? We had basically no money in free agency. We made one move. I kind of like it though. We added tackle Philip Boley, who is a power-oriented tackle who struggles with athleticism and finesse. This was our draft. We replaced Mike Goodson with our first-round pick, and that was our only high overall pick, it looks like, of the entire class. We took 2 running backs, and I had nothing to do with it, but we're hoping Eric Vincent provides the value. He does start off, though, with normal development, unfortunately, but I do like the skill set a lot. I'd be okay drafting Eric Vincent even at normal dev. And this is the roster that will open Season 11. Chuck Johnson at Superstar. Justin Boston now star. We have Kevin Parker at Superstar. He lost his X Factor, unfortunately. They're playing Nash at tight end. The tackle situation looks concerning. I'll have them be able to reorder the depth chart and everything. Jared Wade lost his dev. I was wanting them to play him more last season, but it kept overruling me for some reason, so he didn't get that much playing time. I like where the defense is overall. Mike Jones gets a boost up to Superstar, and I see they also took a hidden dev cornerback here, Mac Chapman. So that's a fun find late. Wow, this became a 7-10 season. We now have the best offense and the worst defense, and we're worst against the pass. I can't understand being worst defensively. That's a big head scratcher. So the offense is in fantastic form, and despite having this defensive line, 2 really good cornerbacks, Chuck Dalton, it is not enough, and not even close to being enough. Chuck Johnson, 43 touchdowns, 8 picks. Again, things go extremely well offensively, but how'd they regress that much on defense? Doesn't really make a lot of sense. Kevin Parker now is the leading receiver this year, overtaking Justin Boston. Javier Wade also had 906 yards, 8 touchdowns, having a bit of a breakout for him. So here's his development. No developing short route running. Just say 99 speed is your short route running. Mike Jones, back-to-back really good years, 9.5 sacks. A resurgence a bit from Martin Cooper, but no other pass rushers were all that impressive. And I just don't understand all the passing yards given up, but I guess we do have an aging secondary. You know, I didn't add a big piece there. I was just hoping we'd get a longer, stay at the top for these cornerbacks, and it would be enough with the pass rush. Very surprised that we're giving up this many points. Joe Johnson did win his 3rd consecutive rushing title. And Brian Thomas had an incredible year in Indianapolis. Where did this come from? In his 12th or 11th season, Arrington once again elite. That's a crazy season for Kyle Donnell of the Cleveland Browns. Let's go check on the Broncos now. And Joseph Bowen, 8.5 sacks. Regressed a little bit. Not bad. But why can't he just be elite top tier multiple years in a row? Denver ended up going to the playoffs, but lost to Tennessee in the first round. Them and the Colts made it, but the Super Bowl is between the number 1 seed Browns and the Eagles. And the Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl this year, 35-31. It's a bit of an upset against the 1 seed Cleveland Browns. Jaden Daniels retires after 12 years. I'm wondering how long Chuck Johnson chooses to play. 12 is not all that long in Madden for a quarterback. Lamar and Josh Allen both retired after 16 years when we got this video underway. We did do some re-signing during the season. We actually signed Justin Boston to a 4-year, $102 million contract. And we bring back Trayvon Briscoe. And then Tim Jackson, I thought he was gone. We signed him, though, week 3 to a 2-year extension. And it looks like Ben Washington, J.D. Short are among the players hitting free agency this year. I don't know how many more times I'm going to have the chance to do this on this game. And I like to think it'll be removed in the next one. But at least one more time, everybody. Kevin Parker, he's got something to say. What's your motivation, Kevin? I don't want to pay income tax. Would you change that about me? Big Eli Arrington vibes right here. No, I don't want you to like paying taxes. Well, the Chargers are doing this all over again. They signed Anthony Richardson earlier in the series and now get Derek Phillips late in his career. I just don't want to see that J.D. Short is going to the Colts. That's literally it. He went to the Eagles, the team that just won the championship. I can't even blame him. He's down to an 83. Meanwhile, we did end up signing Ben Washington. Don't love that move. He wasn't that productive. We had to restructure Kevin Parker's deal to make that one possible. Did we get any defensive help this year? We took a second-round corner, but first had to address the offensive line with Jeremiah Maynard. Can't be too mad at that, but the offense has been phenomenal the last 2 years and really the last entire Chuck Johnson career. But we did take a couple defensive players, 70 overall corner Joseph Briggs. I don't know if that's changing our last-ranked defense. This is now year 12 of the franchise. Chuck Johnson is back to being an X factor. The offensive line is needing to be rebalanced, but it looks pretty decent, especially with the interior. Tim Jackson at superstar. What happened here? I thought we let him go. Now he's back. He was Offensive Lineman of the Year and got a boost to Superstar. That's incredible. Offense is not our problem, though. It is the defense. Front four looks like it would be stacked. But I mean, I'm thinking this is going to be a bad defense again. Ezra Telfer playing alongside this secondary? Are you kidding me? There, I rebalanced it, but it doesn't look a whole lot better. And the promising players on this team are definitely getting older. Chuck Johnson is now 31 years old. But think about some of the skill players that might not be able to play as long as a quarterback. Joe Johnson's 29, still a 93, but we know regression is going to hit him and probably pretty soon. Guys like Bijan Robinson were like 71 overall when they were 31, 32 years old. I was signing them to be just third string depth. What's Kevin Parker these days? He's 29. Eli Arrington is 32 and he's down to an 89 overall, still in Miami. Could be coming up on the end of his career soon, and he's closing it very strong. But Mahomes ain't there anymore. It is Stan Pope. Okay, for some reason, this is going much better. We are 12-3 with a couple games left. I just wanted to see, late, could we fight into the playoffs? Somehow, we are back better than ever, and the defense now is ranked 4th in points per game allowed. This doesn't make any sense. And we, again, are the number 1 seed in the conference. Jets are number 2. We went 13-4 this year. So, one bad season, but now back to the top. We're going to have another chance at things as Chuck Johnson, 35 touchdowns and was only sacked 17 times. The protection has gotten amazing in the last couple years. Now, our rushing numbers have gone down. It's a little less elite. Joe Johnson, 1,168. Kevin Parker has a very big season with 1,300 yards and a 104-catch year. Boston, very good. Nash, productive. Javier Wade has kind of emerged as that wide receiver 3. So that hasn't been a bad move, at least. But the defense took a huge leap. They're led by the combo of Ratliff and Mike Jones in the middle. It's an 11-sack year now for Jones. And he's going to be looking for a big deal here. He's gotten better each season in the sack department. Finally, some consistency. I'm not sure how the defense did this, though. I really can't believe it. Mac Chapman, 2 interceptions. So he's playing after having Star Dev as a rookie. I still worry, though, about getting into these postseason games and this secondary actually stopping anyone. JJ still doing his thing. You love to see it. Then at running back, another rushing title for Joe Johnson. That is 4 consecutive. Alex Shields was the top receiver this year with the Vikings. Kyrie Baldwin followed. So you got to scroll a little ways now to find Eli Arrington. Wow, Reuben Ross, 1,200 yards. What has he been doing here? That's his best season, but he's just been really good since the 3rd year of his career. Joseph Bowen, 14 sacks. There's a great season. And he's now 29 years old, still one of the best defensive tackles in all of football. Finally, they named Nate Bell Coach of the Year. You had multiple chances to do it. Thank you for not blowing it this time around. And this time we're getting the Buffalo Bills in the division round. And here's the playoff picture. The Jets and Raiders will square off in the other AFC matchup. The Buccaneers are the 1 seed in the NFC. So we're back in the postseason here in 2036. The Bills won the Super Bowl now 2 years ago from this point, and Jimmy Wise was the MVP. Now they're back, same quarterback, and ready to try and make it 2 rings in 3 seasons. I'm just mostly concerned about this defense holding up in playoff matchups against some of the best offenses. But we need to see our offense start to show up better in these big games. I mean, with Joe Johnson and Chuck Johnson, you expect a lot out of this offense. Chuck's back to being an X Factor, now playing as a 99 after being a 6th-round pick, of course, at the beginning of his career. It's about time we make another deep postseason run. Since winning our title back in Season 4, the Jaguars have now gone 4-5 in playoff matchups since that point, and have yet to appear in the AFC Championship since Year 5. The Raiders have beat the Jets in an upset, so if we can advance, we will not have to face the Jets, a team that's had our number for years. It's a fake from Chuck Johnson, steps up, finds the open man, complete to Justin Boston. One of the best late series breakout stories. It's Joe Johnson now. He stiff arms and brings it inside the 2. Back to Joe, and he punches it in. An opening drive, Jaguar touchdown. Now the defense on the field. We're in the second quarter, still 7-0. Jimmy Wise on the outside, incomplete. And that's the savvy veteran out there, Ezra Telfer. On the screen now. Nice job coming downhill. Tackle is made by Bryce Weaver. Defense off to a really good start. Bills getting their first scoring chance, and the long field goal is no good. They missed it. I want to see us build up the lead now. Johnson wide open to the end zone, and the Jaguars go up 2 scores. And it's the speedster, Javier Wade, breaking wide open. I know that pick at the beginning of this video didn't look like the right pick necessarily, but I thought this was absolutely a chance we had to take. The Bills get their first touchdown before the half, making this a 14-10 game. 21-13 now in the third quarter, and finding Justin Nash. Jaguars get the first down into scoring range. 4-man rush, and over the middle, complete Kevin Parker. Up the middle now, it's Joe Johnson getting ahead of steam. We haven't always put together good rushing efforts here in the postseason, but that's been much more reliable. Big 3rd and 1. We fake it to Johnson, and Chuck will have it knocked away. Don't think he had a chance there of getting Boston. Okay, I wasn't expecting us to go for it on 4th down, but we got it, and then Joe Johnson scores the touchdown, extending the lead. I've been pleasantly surprised by the defense so far. 28-13, just got to finish this game. Right now, we're in a similar spot that we put the Broncos in that first playoff game in this video. Ezra Telfer, top of the screen. Jimmy Wise on 3rd and 13. Pocket collapses, and Ratliff forces him to get rid of it. There was an injury as well on the play. And now 4th and 13, and they really got to find a way to convert. Jimmy Wise, wide open. Are you kidding me? It's a Buffalo touchdown. We haven't won this game quite yet. I run into so many busted coverages with plays like cover 4 palms in this game and in college football 25. It just doesn't work against a lot of concepts. Off the play action, here's Chuck Johnson. Good hands, and it's complete again to Javier Wade. I'd be happy just getting 3 on this drive. Under 4 minutes to go in the game. Chuck Johnson out of the pocket and wrapped up by Timmons. 3rd down now. Johnson, he's got it. Parker converts. He was by himself. Good running. Joe Johnson still on his feet to the 20. Hitting 100 yards and putting us in shorter field goal range. Oh, Joe Johnson's got some hands now. That's a tougher catch than we're used to him being able to handle. And the offense does its job. Brad Graham on to kick things now. Field goal. Good. 11-point lead. And we're going back to the AFC Championship game here in Season 12. It's our first time back since year 5. It's been a long time coming. And that was a more complete performance than this team has shown in the postseason, maybe since that last run to the Super Bowl. Chuck Johnson, 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. Very clean game. And we were able to run the ball while the Bills had absolutely no chance. Jimmy Wise ran for 13 yards. Their running back, Enrique Claxton, had 1 yard rushing. 1 yard by non-quarterbacks for Buffalo. Joseph Briggs had the interception along with Chuck Dalton. Picked up a couple sacks in the process. And if we can beat the 9-8 Las Vegas Raiders, we will make our Super Bowl return. They were the best scoring defense in football this year. Brock Bowers is their top-rated player, along with Rodney McAllister, 2 playmakers for quarterback Chris Carpenter, who's been with them for a very long time in the franchise. And we meet again. I have it in my notes that the Raiders knocked us out in the division round back in year 7. I know our first playoff victory in this series was also against the Las Vegas Raiders. But now trying to clinch a 3rd trip to the Super Bowl in the Jaguars franchise. Can we complete our AFC journey? Following a scoreless first quarter, the Raiders have the first scoring chance. And Chris Carpenter throws in between defenders, getting a 3rd down conversion to Gillespie. So Gillespie there was a receiver in that first draft today that I passed on. I didn't like the ratings very much. And they're going to take it down to the 1. They get stuffed on 2nd down by Mike Jones. And on 3rd and goal, this time they get the score and the Raiders strike first. Chuck Johnson looking to throw, and he swings this out, and that is not Joe Johnson on the reception. All right, he's returning here. I was a little worried that Joe might be hurt. But 3rd down and 6. Slow start offensively. And we're going to be looking toward the speedster, and down the sideline he turns it up. Javier Wade. You know he was high on the Raiders draft board, but they waited too long. Joe Johnson to the outside. Raiders not letting him get much going. It's 3rd down and 10. Chuck Johnson is blitzed and dropped. Great call there by the Raiders. We missed. And that's going to bring on Graham. It's a 50-yard try. And he boots this one through. We just threw a pick to Sammy Baugh. The Raiders will now go up 11 on a touchdown. And then we throw a pick trying to put a 2-minute drill together. This is a very stout Raider defense, but Bryce Weaver gets it back. A quick trade, and now we're back at it offensively. But under a minute left, Chuck dumps it, and Joe Johnson can't get much. Here's Chuck Johnson. He flings it outside. That's complete to Boston. Now 3rd and 2. We move the sticks. We got to get some points here. Good protection. Johnson takes off now. Gets the first down. He's still got all kinds of speed as he gains 21. When this series is done, I'm really going to miss Chuck Johnson. Although I doubt we've seen the last of him. First down, hitting Wade now inside the 15, but only 1 timeout left. And now 7 seconds. Got to have this play not take forever. And it's going to force us to spend that timeout. At least it's something, though. This is not looking like a high-scoring game. So adding 3 here might make the difference in the end. We'll see. I can't believe Antonio Pierce is still here with the Raiders. Like, so many coaches get fired or retire here in franchise. Raiders having a big drive here to open their third quarter. And they do score another touchdown. We are down 15. Intercepted again. That's 3 thrown by Chuck Johnson. And it's going to be nearly impossible to overcome. Touchdown Raiders. This really felt like the year to me. With that big playoff win and getting the 9-win Raiders. But their defense has been too much to handle. We aren't out of it yet, though. 28-14, 3 minutes left. We have timeouts. If we score quick, we're still in this. That player there getting injured, actually stopping the clock, is kind of a big deal for us. 8 in coverage, still finding an open man, Kevin Parker. If we could get Wade over the top, though, that would be huge. Unfortunately, he's running a crossing pattern. Boston gains 9. We hit the 2-minute warning, and Boston again down to the 20. I don't like using a timeout there, but sometimes you get the 20-second runoff, so I don't want to lose 20 seconds either. But we got to score fast now. Down a timeout. Shook! Looked like a sack, ends up being a first down. And that's what you don't like. 19-second clock runoff. Johnson hitting the tight end inside the 10. And we called our second timeout. So we're probably going to need the onside kick now. Chuck caught inside the 5. He'll throw it out to Joe Johnson. Touchdown, Jacksonville. But it's going to take a miracle for the offense to touch the ball again. But if we can get it, we're going to go for 2 now, try to make things interesting. To make it a 6-point game, Johnson's got it. And if he can just get one more chance, maybe he can be the hero. Come on, Graham. I drafted you for a reason, and he's not much of an onside kick specialist. The Raiders take over. And that's going to be yet another season ending in the division round. It's now happened 4 times since our last Super Bowl appearance. And the Raiders will be moving on to the AFC Championship. It's so tough to make these runs, especially when we're doing these sims and I'm not in control of the offseason anymore with this aging team. You hate to think of this being our last chance, but it's possible it was. I'm really enjoying going through the video like this, though. I think it's a fun way to move quick, and I'm enjoying this more than a lot of the other long-term sim-related things I've done. I think I've gotten a lot better at going fast here in recent months, working on this series, the Marlins, and some other content. And the Eagles have won the Super Bowl, their 2nd in a row. And that concludes now the 12th year in the Jaguars franchise. Checking out the retirements and looking for names we recognize. Of course, Trent McDuffie, Jackson Powers-Johnson from that base roster. But looking to see players drafted here in the series and how long they stick around. Kyle Donnell was a legend. He goes 11 years. Patrick Mahomes retires after 20. He was with the Bengals, I guess? Trayvon Walker retires after 15 seasons. We got Caleb Williams retiring after 13 years, so it's hard to say how long Chuck Johnson chooses to play. But it doesn't seem like regression has really even started with him, as he's now 32 years old and lost 4 total points this year. But X Factors will regress less than players with higher development. Kevin Parker's at X Factor again. Joe Johnson drops to star. You know, running backs, they do kind of fall like a rock now. I'm not even sure it's really my settings doing anything, as he loses 2 dev traits and 33 points. We're going to have to see if the Jaguars can effectively replace him. But this is a really good and long career for Joe Johnson, putting together 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons. The defense was a lot better than I thought they'd be, and perhaps they can go and add another secondary difference maker this year. We have Ezra Telfer going down to star dev now, and he's truly an 87 at 32 years old. That is pretty darn impressive. But that's two of our key stars that regress a lot here this year. Eli Arrington is now all the way down to 84 overall and might only have another couple years to play. But I suppose as like a slot receiver, he could have like a late career Larry Fitzgerald role here. Not a ton of athleticism to work with any longer, but it's been an amazing career for Arrington. Had the production been better here, I mean, his numbers would be pretty impressive. I mean, they already are, but he dealt with a lot of subpar quarterback play in Miami and didn't put up the elite production with us. With the retirement of Patrick Mahomes and many other quarterbacks in the series, we now see Chuck Johnson is the 5th active leader in touchdown passes, with J.J. McCarthy now in front. The NFL rushing leader, or active rushing leader, is Joe Johnson with 119 touchdowns as well. And then the leading receiver, Eli Arrington, who's just a couple games away from 1,000 catches. And then Brian Thomas, I mean, his numbers are right there with Arrington. Then guys like Justin Harvey, Xavier Bullitt was in that same Arrington draft class, Felix Jackson. That's an incredible tight end career drafted here in this series. Ezra Telfer has 26 interceptions. Devin Lloyd, 21. He's still in this series. And then Taj Peoples, 29. J.D. Short, 28. So Short's gone on then to get another ring in Philadelphia. Good for him. Right now we are in a really bad cap situation. And that's with Ezra Telfer hitting free agency. We could end up losing him this year. Trayvon Briscoe's a free agent. This ain't good. I'm now in a consulting role with this team, and I'm going to choose to eat some dead money to free $14 million in cap on Martin Cooper, who I don't think should have gotten that second big deal. But I don't think we're going to have enough space to manually offer a deal here to Ezra Telfer. So he might be on his way out, unfortunately. He's one of my favorite DBs of the series. But let's see what the Jags end up doing. We lost both of our coordinators to head coaching jobs again. That's happened a lot in this series. Otherwise, though, we weren't able to re-sign anybody. These were deals we had made here during the season. The only deal we made in season was signing linebacker Ryan Abbott. It looks like that move is kind of worked out in an okay way. Wow, a 99 overall quarterback hit free agency. That's wild. You never see that kind of thing. He got like 7 years, $500 million to go to the Falcons. Carl Triplett leaves Philadelphia after back-to-back Super Bowls. They couldn't come to a new contract. That is unbelievable. Ezra Telfer signs on with the Raiders. Why do players leave for teams that knock us out of the postseason? Telfer is a Raider. Trayvon Briscoe goes to the Raiders. They had all kinds of space here to spend in free agency. Martin Cooper goes to the Chiefs. And we lose Mike Allen to the Giants. I just wanted to see the number here on this screen. 7 years, $504 million is what they signed Triplett to. So that equates to $72 million per season. I do like that deep in franchise, you see those numbers go up. I think it's pretty cool. What's the salary cap here at this stage? Looks like $315 million. In 2025, which obviously is a season that hasn't happened yet in the NFL, the cap is going to be $279. So I feel like the quarterback contract inflation has outpaced the salary cap inflation, which shows you why guys are hitting free agency you wouldn't expect. Like, there are teams that just do not have the cap for those kinds of demands. So we just went through our 2036 draft. And this time we come away with a bunch of 70-plus overall talent. So starting off, Maxwell Albright, bang, hidden dev, defensive end. Mostly a run stopper, though, and probably more of a D tackle. If that's how he fits better into this roster, I'll change his position for the Jaguars. And then we also get Rafael McKenzie. We had to add a DB. He only has normal dev, but he should get out there and play a lot. Hidden dev center, Elliott Mitchell. That was big. They get a 72 overall receiver in Kyle Brooks for a very good value. And I'm happy with a late round 70 overall running back. We had to get some more depth. And the skill set here is solid. I always like to add players with ratings like this. So Nicholas Devine is a good pick. And we took a late round quarterback in Andy Cummings. We'll see if anything happens with this late round quarterback. I didn't do anything to set this team up for life after Chuck Johnson. It was too early in the timeline. But eventually, they'll have to find another guy. It is now the 2037 season. The offensive nucleus still looks good. Now, Justin Nash has earned star dev, and we have really good all-around playmakers. But we could see Joe Johnson regress now and maybe not win another rushing title this season. We lose Ezra Telfer, the leader of this defense, and there aren't many standout players now. The leader would have to now be Mike Jones, my draft pick that kicked this entire video off. Honestly, already having 2 13-win seasons and a couple playoff runs since my last draft is decent success for how these long-term sims often go. But undoubtedly this team is worse, and I'm seeing the defense is only 81 overall, so I don't have as much confidence in a repeat year. But we make it to the postseason. We go 10-7, and the New York Jets are our opponent. What a perfect rival to face here. It looks like we tumbled down the stretch. We lost our last 2 games, but we at least have another chance, another playoff season. We'll have to go all the way here in the wild card round. And how'd the season go? We have Chuck Johnson, 38 touchdowns, 8 picks. We've just become used to this level of production from him. He hasn't thrown double-digit interceptions now in nearly a decade. Joe Johnson, still a good year, but 4.1 yards a carry. We see that efficiency certainly dropping. Then Kevin Parker, 19 touchdowns, 1,493 yards. We've seen some big breakout years from him and Justin Boston. And then going back to Lauderdale, who I signed late in the series. But huge years here for Parker. Then we have Justin Nash continuing to be productive. Javier Wade has been a very reliable wide receiver 3. And the defense isn't what they once were, but Alex Ratliff had a big season with 14 sacks. Kind of a step back this year for Mike Jones. And then Eric Vincent at safety gets 3 interceptions. And we get a handful more, not a ton of takeaways. But these normal dev players are having a chance to grow by getting all this play time. We know the milestone upgrades are big here in Madden 25. And oftentimes just playing all year can lead to that dev trait jump. It's yet another rushing title for Joe Johnson. I forget now if that's like 5 in a row or what it is. It's impressive though. Cameron Cowan is the leading receiver. Kevin Parker came in 3rd, and Jared Lauderdale is still having big seasons since I traded him to Chicago earlier. That's easily his best. Reuben Ross goes for over 1,000 yards again. I did not think his career would have this kind of staying power, and now with his 3rd team, he's putting in his best play. I think playing with Derek Phillips. And then I don't think Eli Arrington is an elite receiver anymore. He ends up 806 yards. Could be nearing the end of the road. Arrington did cross 1,000 receptions this year, now with 128 touchdowns. Kevin Parker putting in some impressive numbers. He's up to 770, and he's played 8 years. Ezra Telfer, 26 interceptions. How did this year with the Raiders go? No picks. Should have stuck around. So the center ends up being star development, and the offensive line looks really solid. Oh, is Boston hurt? Going into the postseason, ooh, Justin Boston might not be able to play here in this first game. The cornerbacks now are mid to high 70s. We're going to need a lot out of this pass rush to make a run this year, for sure. And we meet again. Big game against the New York Jets. Can't forget about that third-string quarterback that ended our run back in Season 8. The offense is moving the ball well, though. That has to lead the way. We're going to have to score a lot of points to make a deep run. So far, so good. 21-10. And let's put them away. 46-yard Kevin Parker touchdown. Jaguars advance, winning 31-17. Chuck Johnson has another chance at the division round. That's been our toughest round. We have more losses there than anywhere else in the postseason. He throws for 233 yards, nothing overwhelming. Run game was all right, but we made our drives count. We scored touchdowns, not field goals. We move on. Now we get the Denver Broncos. Joseph Bowen is their #1 rated player. He is now 30 years old. He is still an X factor. 99 power moves, 99 finesse moves, 99 tackle. He's coming off the most sacks he ever had. This was the best season of his career. And these elite defenses have had our number consistently in the playoff games. Also part of this defense is safety Mike Goodson, and tackle Jamison Gatewood is a Bronco. And we need to see Chuck Johnson avoid these playoff interceptions that have ended far too many runs at this point. We should have our receiver trio healthy again. We need that in this game. We just took 3 consecutive negative plays there, losing a chance at scoring on the opening drive. And then 80-yard touchdown pass to Joe Johnson? That doesn't make any sense, but I love it. Wow, big plays on this drive. We got Justin Boston for 17 and 28. Trying to score our second touchdown. It's Chuck Johnson on 3rd down, and the pressure is too much, and he's sacked. How do you miss these kicks? It's a different kicker now, too. 26-yard miss. But we forced a quick 3-and-out, and now Devin Thomas has the touchdown. That's the tight end I took out of Auburn. I'm really impressed at the passing game here. 25, 22, 11 on this drive. That's Joseph Bowen right there in the middle. Chuck Johnson now, 1st down. We got to extend this lead. Blitz coming. Gets it into the hands of Kevin Parker to the 2. Facing one of the top defenses in the league, Chuck Johnson's been great. And Joe Johnson lays out to get the touchdown. Putting it all on the line there. And now we're running the clock in the 4th quarter. Denver only has 6 points. Parker scores. We have had a big day against this Denver defense. And we finally make it back to the AFC Championship for the first time since Season 5. And we're in year 13 now. I don't know how I kept forgetting that we were just in the AFC Championship. 3 touchdowns, no picks. Chuck Johnson was dialed in this time around. He knows he's not going to have too many more chances at winning a championship. And this Denver defense just wasn't able to slow us down today. They did pick up 2 sacks, which you'll take against this defense, but no interceptions, no big plays from Joseph Bowen or Mike Goodson against us. And we meet again with the Buffalo Bills this time in the AFC title game. They were the #1 seed going 14-3. Both 1 seeds are still in it. We beat them last time we met, but now the Bills trying to return the favor. Johnson's throwing it all over the place here in the postseason. Hitting big passes on this drive with Justin Nash, Kevin Parker, and now Johnson runs out and gains 9. Trying to start this game off strong. Flip to Joe Johnson, hits the outside, and takes it to the 9. Bills blitzing, it's out, and touchdown, Jacksonville! Heads up play by Chuck Johnson. It goes to Quentin Barr for the opening drive score. He's been so good facing pressure throughout this series, whether it's the scrambles or the heads-up plays to extend and then throw it. That's what I'll remember about Chuck Johnson. Moving ahead, second quarter. Tie game now. Chuck under pressure delivers. That's Boston. 14 yards. That's Parker now, and he's up to the first down marker. Chuck, third and goal, spins, fires, touchdown! Justin Boston. Jaguars back in front. I've been pleasantly surprised by the play of this defense. 14-7, we're in the fourth quarter, and the Bills are turned away on third down. Alex Ratliff helping stuff the run. He looks exhausted. And the Bills, wow, they're going to kick it. That's a huge stop. A quarter away from the Super Bowl, but Chuck Johnson goes down on the sack. Bills just trying to get off the field now, and Johnson's going down yet again. Nice tackle. Bills have it here at our 44. 7 minutes to go. Trying to tie things up. Super Bowl ticket on the line. Jag defense has been tough. We send 4, can't get through, and they convert. Over the middle and laying out. Bills to the 11. Bills now 3rd and 5, and they beat the blitz. Touchdown, Buffalo. And that's one of the league's best receivers, Cameron Cowan. How do the Jaguars manage this now? Oh, no, that's bad. Loss of 4 in the backfield. This is one of the biggest plays now in the last 8 years for Chuck Johnson. 3rd and 6. You convert this, you're in the driver's seat trying to win this and go to the Super Bowl. Johnson has time, slings it open. Justin Nash, touchdown. And the Jaguars have retaken the lead. Wow, what a time for that. He broke wide open, nobody near him. And now the defense has to protect. We did leave the Bills a lot of time and 3 timeouts, and that's a fumble. They got back on it, just barely. A loss of 17, though, for Jimmy Wise as we hit the warning. 5-man rush, big yardage getting back here. 3rd and 12 is a little more manageable, and it's 4-down territory here for Buffalo. There's Cameron Cowan. I think he's the star right there. And Wise will have time and fire downfield. First down, Buffalo. 43 yards to go and poked away. Good coverage on the play. We don't have the big 3 corners we started this episode with, but we're still competing defensively. Here's Jimmy Wise under pressure. Now a 7-yard gain. That's complete to the sideline. They're still making great time. Time starting to become a factor. Wise lets it go inside the 20. Brought down in bounds. That's where the Bills use their final timeout. We send the pressure. Wise slides, floats, and it's knocked down. Pressure on. Wise, incomplete. 2 downs to go, basically. 27 seconds. They'll motion the receiver. Wise has time. They go short, and it's going to come down to this. They have to hurry up. Time's up, actually. 18-second runoff. We get very lucky there with the clock run. And the Jaguars are returning to the Super Bowl. We have made it back for the first time since Season 5 when we lost to the New York Giants. Chuck Johnson will have his chance now to add a second Super Bowl title. He's played great in the postseason. No interceptions, another 3 touchdowns today. And we're hoping that him and the receiver trio with this offensive line can get the job done again. You'll never believe it. It's the Giants again. The Jaguars and Giants Super Bowl matchup happens for the 3rd time in the series. These teams have to be so different now at this stage. But I imagine there's maybe one thing still in common. Randall Cooper. Yep, he's still a 99 at 33 years old. Oh, a new quarterback. Kyle Smith. No longer Derek Phillips. They do have a 99 overall running back in Terrence Norris. That's definitely concerning. Wow, that's so handful of years ago now, they took him, and then remember, they gave up future 1st, 2nd, 3rd round picks to move up for a tackle. It was after they selected Norris. So they invested heavily in this defensive, or this run game. They were not going to have it be Saquon Barkley Part 2. Their number 1 receiver is Reuben Ross. They have our old center, Mike Allen. And this is our chance, everybody. Another Super Bowl is upon us. Can Chuck Johnson get ring number 2? I wasn't sure we would get this chance again. But how perfect is it? It's going to be against the New York Giants. Our 3rd time in the Super Bowl, and we have faced the same team every time. The New York Giants have one of the best defensive players, though, in the league, and we know he's a game changer when he's out there. Back when Randall Cooper missed the Super Bowl, we won. He came back, and the next season, the Giants blew us out 31-7. A lot's changed now since those meetings. But now Reuben Ross is the Giants' number 1 receiver. Giants opening drive, 3rd down and 6, and that's a big play. Down the sideline, it's going to go for a 54-yard touchdown. That's how the scoring starts. And it's Ben Benedict. He was really moving there. We were not able to get Weaver in position to make a tackle. Reuben Ross just converted a 2nd 3rd down here on the Giants' 2nd possession. Kyle Smith underneath. And a good job working to the boundary there. Holloman 1st down. And they're going to run this now with a head of steam. All the way to the 6 goes Norris. Norris won't be denied on this carry. Touchdown, Giants. And it's a fast start for the G-Men. Can Chuck Johnson and the Jaguars keep up? It's their 2nd possession. And hitting Boston now. 1st down. Johnson off the fake. Flies downfield. Boston. Chuck throws, and Justin Nash makes the grab, and he gets us into the end zone. Big time answer there. We've settled this game down now. Defense has gotten a couple stops. Chuck Johnson, how is he always open? Justin Boston. And you know those in New York got to be big fans of a guy named Boston. Here is Chuck Johnson now, and Boston back again for a 1st down grab. They try to blitz Chuck. We pick it up, though. Justin Nash, 2nd touchdown. Yep, I think that pick was the right one. Tie game at the half. Now early 3rd, facing 3rd and 5. Trying to stay hot. Chuck Johnson. No, he is run down touchdown by Randall Cooper. Receptions of 27 and 16 on this drive. Giants now have it, looking to take the lead again. Off the fake, though, Smith gets rid of it. We've been able to contain the elite running back, Terrence Norris. Getting this one out. It's going to be a first down. They have looked so fast against us. Kyle Smith under pressure. Gets it out. That's a touchdown. And the tight ends are eating here in the Super Bowl. Ben Benedict, second score. We're not getting enough third down stops right now. Giants ball, fourth quarter, driving. And there's just no slowing them down here as Reuben Ross puts them ahead 2 touchdowns. We're in some trouble now. 3rd and 13. That's a short throw. It's not going to come close. And here we're going for it. Chuck Johnson. Johnson needs 8 now. He has time. Flag down now. And we hope it's on them. Batted away from Boston. But roughing the passer on the Giants. Johnson with time. It's Boston now. A catch and run. We've got to get 2 scores and now have under 5 minutes to pull it off. Here's Chuck. Nice grab. Parker. Quick throw. And no, not quite in. Throwing from the 1. Chuck back in the end zone. He held on. Justin Boston. And it's a 1-possession game. Can the defense get it back? They have the best running back in the game now. Giants fake it on first down. Smith throws. And that's going to be a first down. Better than a 2nd and short, but that's going to take us all the way to the warning. Now they hand it off, and we're right there. We have been all over the run. Norris under 50 yards rushing. So maybe that play fake call on first down was savvy. Uh-oh. Norris getting to the outside. First down, and this is now trouble. We only have 1 timeout left. We're not going to have time now for a full possession, most likely, if we can get these stops. A first down ends it in the zone. Terrence Norris. He's got it. And that is going to seal it. And the New York Giants have done it again, and we go down in the Super Bowl. A much more competitive effort than our loss to them all the way back in Season 5. But the Giants are victorious, and we still only have 1 ring for Chuck Johnson. He had a great playoff run, too. No interceptions and like 9 passing touchdowns or whatever it was. We just didn't have the defense here. They score 4 touchdowns. We were going to have to score a lot to win this game. Joseph Bowen ended up winning another Defensive Player of the Year award, it looks like. But that wraps up another year. And now, looking ahead, there's Alex Ratliff, who is going to be a free agent, Javier Wade, Chuck Dalton. The big retirement this offseason is cornerback J.D. Short, the first ever pick of the series, along with Brian Thomas Jr. That's a pretty good legacy, though, for Brian Thomas. He does win 1 ring with us. Ends up 8th here on the receiver leaderboard, just ahead of Kevin Parker. 69 overall is where he leaves off. Had 670 yards a year ago, 5 touchdowns. This second to last year, though, in Indianapolis, that was out of nowhere. 25 touchdowns. Eli Arrington now finds himself 78 overall with a morale drop. Chuck Johnson is now 8th on the quarterback leaderboard, but just 1 ring. None for Caleb Ross, surprisingly. Wow, none for J.J. McCarthy. The Vikings have never won in here. Joe Burrow never won. Josh Allen never won. CJ Stroud, Brock Purdy, Justin Rice. Who's getting the rings? Very good numbers here for Eli Arrington, the active leading receiver. Richie Kidd is here. We talked about him a lot throughout the series as a big playmaker for the Colts. And Joe Johnson, he's down to normal dev now. Regression picking up. Parker's a star. It's not really affecting, well, I guess it has affected Chuck Johnson. He's now a 95 with a 3-point boost. But Joe Johnson probably going to be more of a average player to below average running back now, I would imagine. But he was the best running back for like 6 straight years, which is probably a Hall of Fame career in most cases. Justin Nash has become a pretty good player, though. That pick has aged very nicely. Scored 2 Super Bowl touchdowns. But I think our lack of defensive difference makers is tough to try and win a Super Bowl with. Now, Chuck Dalton, he's regressed, and he's in 79 overall, and 10 years into his career. Man, I'll never forget the 2031, though, that got him to come back. That was incredible. During the year, we did do some re-signing. We're going to keep around guys like Ben Washington, Justin Nash sign, Kevin Parker signs another big deal, and we get Tim Jackson back for 3 more. Mike Jones signs a 3-year extension. Well, that's tough to see right there. Alex Ratliff to the Chargers, 2 years, $50 million. Ratliff was the big free agent addition this year. Ezra Telfer now goes to the Ravens. Javier Wade goes to the Raiders, of course, with 99 speed. They didn't draft him, but they got him after we developed him into an 81. In the draft, we go linebacker first, then receiver and tight end again. We need more defensive talent, and we get a hidden dev pass rusher in K.C. Downing. Then we add a receiver to replace Javier Wade. This is Chris Kilroy, 75 overall with normal dev, but some pretty solid ratings to get going with. And then a hidden dev tight end to pair up with Justin Nash. It is Joe Rivera. Chuck Johnson is a 92. Joe Johnson, 79. We did not replace him, though, so he is still the lead running back. And at least he has this offensive line to run behind. And usually in these long-term sims, the O-line gets pretty bad. So for it to be this good is quite impressive. With this offense, we're always going to have a chance. But we'll have a much better chance if the defense develops. And in playing some of these normal dev guys, they have gotten players to develop. Now Vincent has star dev. We just added a pass rusher. We had Paulson here to help replace Chuck Dalton. And then star dev now for Raphael McKenzie. The secondary, not the same strength as it was, but I do think the defense is at least ascending. And this year, the Jaguars go 8-9. The offense was solid, the defense not so much, and yeah, we just weren't very good. Couldn't get into the wild card hunt. We're the 12th ranked team in the AFC. It's only our 2nd time missing the postseason now in the stretch since we made it to the Super Bowl. Chuck Johnson, 40 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Joe Johnson, only 3.5 yards a carry. He's not as effective as he once was. Kevin Parker was very good this year. And then Boston and the newcomer, Chris Kilroy, was very, very productive. Mike Jones, 15.5 sacks. That might be a Defensive Player of the Year season. And Terrell Williams had 8.5. So how well has that Williams pick aged? Because the Mike Jones selection was very good. And for Williams, well, it wasn't going that well. And then we stuck with them for a 5th year. And it's going great. Terrence Norris wins the rushing title. And Joe Johnson's streak comes to an end. Reuben Ross was very close to Kevin Parker's production out in New York. There was some competition here for Defensive Player of the Year, so maybe not for Mike Jones this season. Chuck Johnson knocking on the door of 50,000 yards, but he's cleared 400 career touchdown passes. Joe Johnson, 11,577 yards. And Kevin Parker now with triple-digit touchdowns, and 11,000 receiving yards. Mike Jones, 49.5 sacks. Bryce Weaver, 11 picks. He's been kind of a key player for us and one of our best secondary players since all the cornerbacks left. Chuck is now 4th active in touchdown passes. And Joe Johnson, far and away the leading runner. We'll see when he chooses to retire. We're getting close to that point. Eli Arrington is the active leading receiver. Kevin Parker is 3rd. Randall Cooper, 210.5 sacks. How is Josh Hines-Allen still in the league? Pass rushers do not play 20 years in franchise. What? He's a 57. He's probably retiring right now. 41 years old as a pass rusher. I've never seen this. This is like MLB The Show where guys just refuse to retire. He's barely played in 5 years. But they've all been here in Atlanta. He's making, $1.6 million to, coach the team. What is he doing at this point? And it is the Tennessee Titans who win the Super Bowl. Are you kidding me? They defeat the New York Giants. The Titans, who really have not been a factor in this series, have just been picking high all the time, and it's never amounted to anything until now. With pass rushers Matthew Perry, Glenn Thomas, tight end Alan Kelly, Gordon Chamberlain, I think I recognize that name, quarterbacked by Chris Carpenter of the Raiders. And they got their title this year. Wow. That's a big upset, I feel. Randall Cooper now retires. It only took him 13 years to break Bruce Smith's sack record. Eli Arrington has now retired after a very interesting career. One of my favorite characters to come out of this series. But Arrington hangs it up. We got Martin Cooper now retiring. Chuck Dalton also retires. Many series mainstays have called it a career. Anthony Richardson retires. He was key to this series too. Edgerrin Cooper retires. Ezra Telfer is still an 82. He ends up going to the Commanders in free agency. Got a couple more players here who are interesting. We take a defensive tackle in Ladarius Turner, and he has hidden dev. And we finally draft a running back high again. It's Kareem Saunders. Can he be the Joe Johnson replacement? But what also caught my eye here is we take a quarterback in the 4th who is a 71, Dom Levy. Now you start to think about, okay, how much longer does Chuck Johnson stick around? He's been playing here for a long time. We took another running back, too, who ended up with an even higher overall. It's tough to get 73 overall running backs in the 5th round. We did. Jared Lowry doesn't have hidden development, but he may have a chance to still succeed with this offense. Wow, Joe Johnson isn't on the roster anymore. We see Kilroy got the bump to star dev. Offensive line looks good. Offense looks pretty solid. I just worry about the running back position. I think you got to play Saunders here and let him develop. Chuck Johnson is now 34 years old, and I suppose he could retire any year. It's just unlikely as long as he maintains X factor and is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But he is now regressing, just slower than others. The secondary's looking better than it had for many years. And now the defensive line really needs someone else, to break out outside of Mike Jones. Wow, Ryan Abbott now is an 80 with star dev. What has he done in this 6-year period? Just been pretty steady 3rd linebacker. Very surprised he earns star, though. The production isn't overwhelming or anything. He's a solid player. 5th round pick, too. Man, that's sad to see all those years of dominating, and now Joe Johnson is like the 40th best running back available in free agency. But it looks like he'll have played his entire career with one team. The Jaguars missed the playoffs and did not have the standout offense this year. They go 7-10, now missing the playoffs for 2 straight seasons. This is where I wonder if the regression on Chuck speeds up, because this was not a season that likely keeps him a X factor. We had to struggle and develop Kareem Saunders this year at running back. Justin Boston was the leading receiver in the trio. And we do see 12 sacks for Maxwell Albright kind of coming out of nowhere. That's kind of interesting. And the Ravens take home the Super Bowl this year. It's a fresh matchup as they defeat New Orleans. Ezra Telfer has retired after a dozen years in the NFL. He was teammates this year with Mike Goodson, who also retires after a decade. Stanley Billups just retired. I hadn't seen his name in a while. I was wondering if I missed him. He retires, and so does Richie Kidd after 15 years. Rashad Good retires. He was on our Super Bowl winning team, I believe. Chuck Johnson still is an X Factor, and Saunders now superstar development, and big time to hold on to that going forward. But now, Kevin Parker and Justin Boston have been regressing, and we've seen Kilroy now take over kind of Parker's spot in this lineup. Kevin Parker was a great receiver for us. Definitely loved this pick after the Eli Arrington saga came to an end. And then Justin Boston, I know we spent time with him in the sped up portion, but I feel like I've seen a lot of him now in these playoff games. Very solid receiver. We go first round safety, second round tackle, getting 73 overalls in the process. And here's your team for now what is year 16. And it's the 7th year in this video. Chuck Johnson still the quarterback. He's down to an 86 though, and is amazingly still an X Factor. Kevin Parker now more the wide receiver 3 with this team. Nobody above an 83. While the defense, I think, is looking better. We've gotten deeper at linebacker, and we've developed some guys, so this defense seems decent again. But it has been 2 years now since we made the postseason. Can the Jaguars make a return? Nope, it's a third straight year missing. Another 7-10 campaign. Chuck has a really good year, though. There's no slowing this guy down. 34 touchdowns, 9 picks. Kareem Saunders would like to see more efficiency, but we know how the running backs tend to develop in this series. They've really got to get to be mid-80s before the production is anything impressive. Justin Boston and Kevin Parker both go for over 1,000 yards. Chris Kilroy was again very good. We've had this steady receiver trio, but there is just not as much going right for the team here this deep in. J.J. McCarthy is in San Francisco. And Chuck Johnson is now the second active leader in yards and passing touchdowns. Kevin Parker is now a 1,000 reception receiver. And he's the second active leader in yardage and receptions. Justin Boston is actually pretty high on the active leaderboard as well. Someone tell him to retire. Josh Hines-Allen still hasn't. He's still in Atlanta. He literally hasn't recorded a sack since 2034, guys. It's 2040. They have a coach on roster. Wow, Gregory Rossum. I haven't seen him all video, but he pops back up here with Tampa. So, ACL tear. That's rough. He's now been in Tampa ever since he left Jacksonville, and he's had some really strong seasons there. I'm seeing Devin Lloyd here too. Andre Cisco. We have guys who refuse to retire. Cisco is now a 35 overall. Andre Cisco has 42 zone coverage but won't retire. This is so weird. He's actually been getting occasional playing time. Why are the Cowboys playing him? And Devin Lloyd seems to also be in that position. Maybe that just happens more in Madden 25. But this isn't something I had really seen in years past. And the Colts have won the Super Bowl, so them and the Titans have a ring now, 24-14. So much has changed now, they have actually the best quarterback, Tommy Hamilton. So it took them a while, but they now have the right quarterback leading this team and have since 2034, which would have been the very start of this video. Trayvon Briscoe retires after a 15-year career. He had gone to Houston. J.J. McCarthy retires after 17 years. Gerald Cameron, 14. So we really know, wow, there's Joseph Bowen after 12 years calling it a career. We know really any year, though, could be it for Chuck Johnson at this point. LaDamian Bigby retires. I wish I could check all these guys' stats at this page before moving on. I'd like to know how many games Bigby ended up playing, because he was a backup with us for the longest time. I don't see Chuck Johnson on the depth chart any longer. Chuck Johnson has left the Jacksonville Jaguars after all this time. And there just aren't many familiar faces here. Bryce Weaver still, Ryan Abbott. We have Mike Jones, who I drafted in this episode. But where is Chuck Johnson? Dom Levy was our draft pick, though. He was the 4th rounder. So they ended up drafting Chuck's successor. And Chuck Johnson has gone to the Las Vegas Raiders. One of those teams we battled with so many times in the postseason. Man, it's weird seeing Chuck in a different uniform after being the main character of this series. But you know, after 3 straight years missing the playoffs, for him to go and start ring chasing, I think is the right move, and for the Jaguars to kind of start over. At 6-11, it's been a rough stretch for the Jaguars ever since that Super Bowl loss. This is our worst season since year 1 in the franchise, and it's now year 17. We were terrible in all departments, but now it's not the team we were attached to any longer. Dom Levy is the quarterback. Kareem Saunders is the running back. Justin Boston is still here. He's one of the only players that I really have, more of an attachment to in the series. Mike Jones, 18 sacks. Very good production for him, and he has become the star I was hoping he'd be for this series. But he's doing this on a pretty bad team. The Raiders, meanwhile, did not make the playoffs with Chuck Johnson. He threw 20 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. A lot less productive than most of his seasons. He did get to rejoin with Javier Wade and get that connection going again. Glenn Thomas has now retired. Dominic Grenard retires after 13 years. Kevin Parker retires. Reuben Ross. And it's now the Detroit Lions who finally win a Super Bowl with Gary Paul at quarterback winning the MVP. That was certainly a long time coming. Gary Paul is 37 years old. And he's been the Detroit quarterback since 2028. We're talking year 4 of this franchise. And he just gets his first Super Bowl ring. That's pretty cool. Chuck Johnson is the NFL's active leader in yardage and touchdowns now. He's approaching 500 passing touchdowns. We see Terrence Norris has become the active leading rusher now. And Kurt Carr is the leading receiver. Justin Boston has climbed into the top 10. It's just hilarious to see him still here in the franchise. Josh Hines Allen. Wow, Gregory Ross, some 30 interceptions. But Josh Hines Allen, at the young age of 45, is still an NFL football player. Did he sign like a perpetual contract with the Falcons? They don't have to keep doing this, but they do. It's just not the same here anymore. Without Chuck Johnson. Mike Jones is pretty good, though. And with all these years of struggling again, the Jaguars are looking to spark something with this organization, and they are now choosing to make the move and officially become the London Jaguars. The only trophy we've won since that Super Bowl. Chuck Johnson has regressed pretty significantly now. We are going to sign Chuck Johnson back now to the London Jaguars. He will back up Dom Levy as the quarterback of the future. We're back in the postseason this year. And we are going to take on the Colts, actually, in round 1. So I'm very surprised to see the Jaguars back. Chuck Johnson did not have to play this year. Dom Levy held it down the entire season. Chris Kilroy is the leading receiver. Looks like Boston is now gone. But we do have maybe an improving defense now with Ladarius Turner and Mike Jones, the superstar. But we went down in the opening round to the rival Colts. who have that loaded offense and the best quarterback in Tommy Hamilton. Detroit wins the Super Bowl again. That's back-to-back championships, and they did it with a new quarterback. Gary Paul had to wait his entire career, and now they win it with DJ Lawton, who I know isn't a rookie. He was drafted by the Falcons many years ago in the franchise, but the Lions are now back-to-back champions. So Chuck Johnson is no longer a starting quarterback. Lions star receiver Kurt Carr retires. Back-to-back championships, 12-year career, not bad. Doesn't appear Chuck has retired yet. That's the last thing we're waiting on, basically. Back to 7-10, the Jaguars regress, missing the postseason. The Ravens are again victorious in the Super Bowl. Tim Jackson, the standout guard, retires. Chuck started this year? I brought him back. I didn't think he would actually be starting. 19 touchdowns, 10 picks, though. And it doesn't look like he's retired. He's just padded some of his team records is all. I didn't think he'd actually start for us. It did get him his 500th touchdown, though. I suppose that is worth it. He's officially a 500 touchdown passer. Justin Rice is still in the league. How is Josh Hines Allen not retired yet? He's now 47 years old. We have a new young quarterback, though, for Chuck Johnson to help mentor, finally. And it's Brenton Kelly, a rookie out of Arkansas. Kelly was taken by the Jaguars with the 11th pick in the first round. This would be a good final year for Chuck Johnson. Mentor him and see if you can... see if this team makes one more run at things. But the Jaguars go 8-9. Now playing good defense, but not getting it done with the offense. This would be the 20th season now with the Jaguars. We've gone really far. Far enough to see the Vikings win a Super Bowl at last. They did it. Terrence Norris, the running back, retires. It doesn't appear Chuck Johnson has. All right, I am not seeing Chuck Johnson on the active leaderboards any longer. I also haven't seen him in the retirement screen unless he was like a late retirement. There's usually one right after the draft. But it appears we have reached the ending point here in the Jaguars franchise. Let's go check out that legacy leaderboard. And at the quarterback position, we'll have Chuck Johnson checking in. Actually, I'm not even seeing him here, oddly enough. After a while, they do remove guys, but I don't know why he wouldn't be showing up here. I think it only keeps players if they make it to the Hall of Fame. After a while, they just remove names. So CJ Stroud is a Hall of Famer. Brock Purdy went to the Hall of Fame. But it does not appear that Chuck Johnson did. I don't know what his legacy score was, though. I should have checked at some point, but I thought I'd see him retire. But it looks like that is going to be the end of the Jacksonville, and I guess late now, London Jaguars franchise rebuild. What a series. Joseph Bowen ends up being a Hall of Famer. This was a really special series, I think. It really helped get me back on track with this style of content and to make these series better. And I think that the faster pace these are moving at now is just so much better overall. Eli Arrington ends up being a Hall of Famer, never playing in a Super Bowl, actually, in his career. I just can't believe Chuck Johnson's not on here, even though he's going to be on a bunch of the record book pages. He is the Jaguars' all-time leader in yards, touchdowns. We have Joe Johnson, Kevin Parker, Mike Jones. We rewrote almost every record but Rashean Mathis' 30 interceptions, and we came close with both Telfer and Short. They were in the mid to high 20s. But we shattered these records. For season records, Chuck Johnson, 43 touchdowns. The touchdown record for Joe Johnson. And then Justin Boston actually had the best touchdown reception mark. Single game, Chuck Johnson tied or broke a touchdown record here, 5 in one game. Kevin Parker had a 5-touchdown game in 2035. I missed that. It was here in this episode at some point. Stanley Buildup still has that record. I love that. And that is the game against Anthony Richardson there in 2029. It was a great time in this franchise. I had a lot of fun building this team and doing it differently than in many series. We did not have that first round, highly picked quarterback you expect to be great who leads you to a championship. We went the unconventional route and taking a 6th round quarterback who just so happened to be a very special player in Chuck Johnson. And we've taken him to a Super Bowl. We only won a single title in this series in a couple tries. But that is how our story ends. It was a great series, and I'll be back again when Madden comes out to start another one. Many of my recent franchise rebuilds have gotten late starts. I am not looking to do that this year. I would like to do a full franchise rebuild starting when the game comes out, and I imagine... And I think with how I've improved the series format, I could see me doing an entire franchise rebuild before even the real-life Super Bowl and having options for content more in this, this window of time where I've been focused on the Jaguars. But thank you all for your support. This has been a special series. I'm really happy I did it, and I'm going to miss it. And I'm going to miss this team and just so many of the great players. But we're on to the next thing, everybody. I'm focused on the Miami Marlins franchise, and now taking this series off my plate, I'm going to look to do a lot more streaming on the main channel and maybe toy around with some ideas while we wait around for College Football 26, when you can expect to see some more Road to Glory content on the channel this year than we've seen in quite some time. Thank you all again for supporting the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise rebuild, and I will see you in the next series.